American Ultra is about a stoner dude who lives in rural America and doesn't realize he's actually a sleeper CIA agent. So when his memories and skills are unlocked, with that comes a lot of violence. This is a very violent film, but the violence is mostly presented as kind of comic book, cartoonish kind of violence. But you see a lot of stuff happen. So everything you can think of happens to people, whether it be, headlocked and headbutted and punched and kicked, to the more kind of brutal violence, such as shooting. There's a lot of shooting in the film, stabbing and being attacked with different types of weapons, some quite creative, such as fried hamburgers and things like that. A lot of violence in the film, so there's a lot of blood and heaps of blood. In fact, there are some characters which are just covered in blood by the end of the film. You see blood spatter, you see blood-covered objects and things like that. With the violence as well, because there is so much destruction going on, there's a lot of property damage. So buildings and shops and things are shot up or just damaged and wrecked in the middle of all this chaos. Vehicles too are also damaged. One car is sabotaged and it ends up exploding. Another car is rammed from behind, then run off the road, and it flips over. And while one of the occupants is still inside, the car is deliberately set on fire. So yeah, lots of kind of crazy stunts and graphic sort of violence. But as I said, the brutality tends to be manageable. It isn't too squeamish. It's not the kind of violence that you'd want to look away from, such as the Tarantino-esque kind of violence. There is a scene where two people are put in a room and then gas is unknowingly to them poured into the room or filtered into the room. They manage to escape, but one of them almost dies and he suffers the effect of the toxic gas on his lungs. There is also a woman who gets treated quite badly through the film. In fact, there's two women who don't get the greatest treatment through the film, but one in particular is constantly belittled through the film by a more senior colleague. She's often compared to a dog and belittled and put down in kind of quite nasty, misogynist ways. There is a drone strike on an entire town in the film, and lots of other sort of military themes and military vehicles and personnel and weaponry in the film. No obvious sex in the film. There is one scene where there's a female in a flashback scene shown from about this area upwards, and she seems to be enjoying some kind of act. She is wearing some clothing, but it is implied that she is having sex at the time. There's also a bit of kissing and flirting in the film. Drug use, yeah, there's a fair bit of drug use. You do see a woman smoking a bong, and you see a man who almost constantly through the film has a joint in his hand. There is a lot of marijuana or assumed marijuana smoked in the film. And there's a mention of different drugs such as acid and mushrooms. A man also drinks spirits in the film. It looks like it's whiskey or something like that, but alcohol doesn't have so much of a strong presence in the film. This same man also snorts white powder from a mirror. So we assume that is a drug such as cocaine. There is lots of glass smashed in the film, as well as mirrors, in case you're superstitious. And there is quite a bit of offensive language as well. So F words, S words, A words, the N word, and B words. So a bit of name calling and a few obscene finger gestures and so on. So this is probably the kind of film you'll either love or hate, but either way, it is destined to become cult status. It's directed by Nima Nourizadeh, and it stars Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart, and you can read my full breakdown of the film on cinemum.net.